Hey every peoples. You guys, I'm sure you're noticing my videos are coming like, there's wider spaces between one video and the next and not coming out as fast as they used to because I've got things going on. But, I still do intend to do videos. That's why I got this one. Now, this one's going to address the last video I did. No, not the video that I had to fix. The video before that. I consider that the last video I had to do. The one on, Proposition 8 and black people voting. I not only want to touch on that, but I also want to touch on things surrounding the whole issue a bit. First off, I know it says I'm explaining things, and I just want to say that my pet peeve against those people still stands, okay? I still find it very hypocritical for one group of people who are definitely going to be screaming about discrimination to then turn around and discriminate against a group of others. And I know it's a small group of them, but they're still out there. Hell, somebody had later on PM'd me like several days back where one black dude was putting up videos recently about how it's not discrimination and how gay people are immoral and all this other bullshit. And the guy is so freaking ridiculous. I was going to make a response video, but I realized he isn't even worth the time. His arguments are so ridiculous. It's just, you lose brain cells trying to argue with him than, increasing his own. So it's not really worth it. So yeah, my pet peeve still stands, but one thing I do want to do here, first of all, I'm not trying to make this a racial thing. And in fact, I understand the trap of making it a racial thing, which is what I'm about to get into next. But I'm just simply stating it's hypocritical. That's my major beef. I don't care whether it's black people discriminating against gays, or women discriminating against gays, or Mexicans discriminating. I don't care. First of all, I don't care who's doing it, period. Even if it's not a minority group or a group that's being discriminated against, it's still bullshit. But it's also hypocritical when you're a group that's being maligned to complain about being maligned and then go around and do the same shit to someone else. You lose credibility that way. And I just can't stand hypocrisy, which is one of the major reasons why I put that video up. I was expressing a major pet peeve of mine. But I'm not trying to make it a racial thing. Nor am I saying that that's the major issue that we should focus on. And that's what I think is a danger of talking about all this. By the way, if you hear him talking again, it's just my wife talking to my friend. They're talking about some really good stuff on religion and such and other things. Well, now they moved on to another topic, but I'm going off topic here. I'm sorry I'm rambling. It's been a long day. But anyway, I've been trying to keep up with the whole Proposition 8 thing. And in fact, I got some links over there that I want you guys to look at. And they're going to be in... Some of them you might not agree with, some of you will agree with, but here's the major thing. I've been noticing that this... I think it's been dying down as far as focusing on black people voting for this. But I don't want people to focus on that too much. Because generally, if we're focusing just on a minority group of people voting for this and pointing out the hypocrisy, and yes, it is bullshit, and yes, something to get pissed off about, but if we're focusing on this group and then it's going to start being this racial battle, that means we're being distracted from the real problem. Remember, only 10% of that vote came from black people. You got the other 90% to deal with, okay? And remember that they weren't the ones that started this. There's a major conservative push that started this shit. They're the real enemy. They're the ones you got to deal with. Not just a small little segment group over here. You got to deal with the major push that's trying to limit human rights from a small group of people. That's the major problem. And I don't want my last video to make you think that I'm not focusing on that. No. I'm just simply pointing a small part out because it pissed me off. But the major focus is that you still got a large mostly religious base of people who, because of ignorance, because of ridiculous fundamentalist beliefs, and straight up bigotry and bullshit, they want to deny human rights to another group of people. And that's what I have. That's the major beef I have, okay? That's number one. The other thing I was talking about the video was just something, a sidetrack, which is a major pet peeve. So, yeah. And for the people who I was debating with under that video, don't think I bear you any ill will. Just because I was disagreeing with the point you were trying... Well, actually, I wasn't really disagreeing with the point you were trying to make, to be honest. Because what you were saying about it trying not to turn into a racial thing is valid. I was just pointing out that I wasn't doing that. But I could see how you could get confused with it. And I'd bear you no ill will for that. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out the way. But while thinking about all this, I realized that, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys want to agree with this. If you want to talk about it, hey, I love a good discussions. But I'm beginning to realize that gay people fighting for great gay rights probably isn't going to work out too well. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. It's the same thing as Mexican people fighting just for Mexican rights is probably not going to work out too well. I know that sounds weird. I got a point with this. Same thing with any minority group, whatever. The reason why I'm saying that that's not going to work out too well is because if people are only uniting off of something that we all agree is kind of flimsy to begin with, then it's not going to go anywhere in the long run. Hear me out. The problem with these fights, whether it's the homosexual fight or the minority fight, black people fighting for rights, or immigrants fighting for rights, or women fighting for rights, is that the fighting is starting with labels that were already slapped upon them. You're fighting with weapons that were given to you by the enemy that you're fighting. You can't win a war too easily that way. I mean, it's possible, but you're not exactly going to have an easy time of it. Homosexuals are fighting for gay rights and homosexual rights. And if you notice, a lot of these groups say we are fighting for rights for homosexuals, we're fighting for rights for gay people. But that's not what they should be fighting for. What they should be fighting for is human rights for humans. Please tell me that that's getting the wheels clicking a little bit. Just like black people should not be fighting for black people's rights. Black people should be fighting for human rights for humans. Immigrants should not be fighting for immigrant rights. The reason why is simple. Let's look at the feminist movement right now. It's kind of stagnant. And part of the reason is because it's been sabotaged by its own people. Okay, I had to cut this in because of video problems. But yeah, the word feminist is a loaded word, like I said before. The reason why is because when you say the word feminist, if you're dealing with somebody, hardcore person who's truly about women being equal with men, right? And you say the word feminist, they're saying that the word has been hijacked, you know, by all the worst people. It's a stereotype. I'm about equality and stuff like that. And they keep equating us with these evil, like, type bitches, these man-hating bitches. But the problem with the stereotype is that it's based on a grain of truth. And the truth is, there are these type of man-hating, sexist women out there right now who have taken the banner of feminism as their own just to gain power. Once they got their hands on power, they started doing some of the worst abuses that men used to do to women because that's what they wanted. And this tends to happen because they were uniting off of something that was flimsy to begin with. Okay, let me just think about it for instance. These group of people are uniting, saying that we're uniting because we're women fighting for rights and we're uniting under the banner that we're all women. But is that really strong enough to unite under? Put a group of women in the room. I guarantee you sooner or later they're going to find something to argue about. Whether it's politics, music, taste in food, or just the fact that they think one of them is wearing a tacky dress. They're going to find something to tear each other apart with because that's what humans do. What about black people? Oh, we're going to unite because we're all the same race. That's a good reason to unite. Really? And everyone's willing to unite under that banner? Anyone here remember that infamous Chris Rock routine of his? Black people versus niggas? Do I need to go further with that? I mean, yeah, it's infamous for a reason, but there's a reason why people laugh at that joke, but there's a bit of truth in that, isn't there? Black people don't get along. Homosexuals, put a group of them, they won't necessarily get along. It's a human thing because people believe in different things. Why is it that people believe that certain groups of people all think alike? They don't. And these things are flimsy. Let's take the homosexual movement, okay? Why is it... Alright, let's put it this way. We will all agree, those of us with, you know, working non-bigoted minds, we will all agree that discriminating against someone simply because they happen to like other people with the same genitals that they do is a bad and rather stupid idea. So what makes you think uniting under that is a good idea? If it's flimsy to discriminate against someone with it, it should stand a reason that's a bit flimsy to unite under as well. I know some people might think this is a bit of a leap, but it's true. If it's a flimsy thing, it's a flimsy thing. All these maligned groups should be uniting to make sure that there's equal rights among all humans. Once you do that, you will gain a whole lot of allies, and suddenly your fight will take on a whole new light. Instead of people saying gay people should have the right to marry, they will then be going, no, everybody should have the right to marry. And somebody saying that everybody shouldn't have the right to marry suddenly has less of a leg to stand on. You see what I'm getting at? Or if you're saying that all, like, you know, black people should not be discriminated against having jobs and getting opportunities. No, all humans should not be discriminated against. It opens up. And you got a lot more allies, and you have something stronger to unite with. And there'll be very few people who are going to be willing to argue against that, about that shit. It's something to think about, you know? Just think about it.